Okay, we are starting. A very interesting talk was just interrupted because what? Just continue on this on the last sentence. What?
So, we all have our hobbies. One of mine is to dress up, cosplay. Like I would sing in Elvish, like from Lord of the Rings at Renaissance festivals all over the US. And that was something I used to do before I started traveling to teach tech.
I mean, the more you know. We are talking to Heather Downing, so and we will hear you talking a little bit later today, a little bit after dinner, about demystifying user management for voice apps. What's it gonna be about? What are we waiting for? What's the information? What's the audience you're aiming for? Everything.
Well, I have to tell you that a lot of people don't know what to do. Voice users. When I say voice users, I mean anybody who talks to Alexa or Google or Siri. You don't know um, how to handle managing them, especially as you're building a skill as a software engineer. So we talk about how to do that with Okta, which is the company I work for. So Okta handles securing users so that you don't have to worry about their data being leaked.
Okay, as we all already know on the internet who watches us on live stream, I'm a dum-dum in tech. So let me ask you a question. Voice apps, is my GPS lady talking in a car the same girl, or literally it's completely different thing?
Actually, it's the same one. It's the exact same one I'm talking about. So if you have a good experience with an app that seems to work that you talk to, that's because a software engineer did the right thing. If you're like, oh, this is really frustrating, it's because the software engineer was lazy and they didn't think about the user before they built it.
I mean, I think it's completely cool, except the part that they pronounce our street names really funny.
That is very true. It is within the U.S. It's the same because we actually have our own accents depending on where you live. I'm from California originally, but now I live in the middle in Missouri in Kansas City. So the moment that anything goes towards the southern part, there's a lot of names that are in Spanish that still are not pronounced very correctly.
Well, okay, then I feel like completely fine. And I want to remind you that you can comment and ask any questions during our conversation on or in general. So come on. And I know, I checked, I Googled, I stalked that you are a YouTuber in some sense, as am I. And I really want to just elaborate on that. You have a show called The Hello World Show, which one you co host. A weekly video series that interviews software masters and teaches the audience something valuable in less than 10 minutes. I watched one episode just out of curiosity. I understood nothing because it's difficult, it's high tech. Can you say something I would understand about it? Because it's really heavy. What's your audience?
Our audience is new software engineers. Engineers have only been doing this for maybe a few years to even brand new. And so we're trying to explain, like, take little nuggets of information from these masterminds that could say, instead of you beating around the bush for an hour, 2 hours of the lecture, give me something in 5 to 10 minutes that should really stick in the minds of a beginner. And so that's what we do the show about. And I co-host this with Spencer Schneidenbach. And that's something that we've done for a little while now.
And how long was a little while?
Oh, 2 years now?
Yeah, I think that's not a little while. Usually, smaller or in this case, more difficult YouTube series do not tend to stay that long. I speak in my experience. I do a very geeky subculture thing too. So
Hey, YouTube is not just the future, but the present. This is the way people learn now. So I love speaking in person, but I get so much more engagement when as soon as I make a video, whether I make a video for the Hello World show or I do it for Okta, so many more people get to see it and we can communicate intent a lot better than something written.
I completely agree. And the last question, I will give it to you because we will have to go to my colleague, Lucas, in the other room. He is training himself for some expo and some games. You will see about that. Anyway, I know you are also an advocate of women in tech. So can you just elaborate on that? What's going on and how and when and how big is your impact? What are you doing?
Isn't that a question? So one of the keynote speakers is Julie Lerman, and I have looked up to her for many years now. And she told me once that right now the tide is turning for women in tech a little bit. So a lot of times people are concerned that perhaps there are opportunities given when there's not talent, there's just gender present. and that maybe they aren't qualified for some of the opportunities they're given. But what she told me is that regardless of the opportunity you get to speak or you get to work at a company, you should run with that and prove your worth there. So don't be so concerned about whether or not you were given that opportunity just because you're a woman.
Actually happens. You cannot say that's not something mythical, you know.
Well, of course not. For example, if you were born into a wealthy family, you will probably meet much more important people than someone who is not, right? So that's also opportunity. You still get to decide what to do with that. So when I say I advocate for it, I advocate for them to absolutely crush it, regardless of the opportunities they get.